Did Democrats just weaponize Epstein's victims to launch another baseless attack on President Trump? In a Capitol Hill showdown that exposed the left's hypocrisy, Attorney General Pam Bondi stared down a hostile House Judiciary Committee, refusing to buckle as radicals tried to twist justice into political theatre. Over 5 hours on February 11, 2026, Bondi unleashed facts that shredded their narrative, defending Trump's bold push for transparency in the Epstein files. Files that reveal the elite rot the Biden era buried. The DOJ under Bondi released over 3 million pages, including grand jury transcripts and FBI memos, unearthing 3 potential co-conspirators overlooked for years. Yet Democrats, with 0 indictments under their watch, demanded apologies not for the crimes, but for necessary redactions protecting active probes. This erupts now because Trump's Transparency Act from November 2025 cracked open the vault, threatening the deep state's secrets. If unchecked, victims endure more pain from reckless leaks, predators evade justice, and partisan hacks erode trust in law enforcement. The left's fury masks their failures. Crime rates soared under Biden, now plunging 20% under Trump. Watch and you'll uncover Bondi's masterful dissection, how she fended off damning questions with ironclad facts, humanizing survivors' plight while championing conservative accountability. See why this hearing solidified Trump's legacy as the swamp drainer, turning attacks into triumphs. The chamber hummed with tension as Chairman Jim Jordan, Ohio Republican and Trump ally, banged the gavel at 10 a.m. Eastern. The committee will come to order, he declared, framing the oversight as a check on DOJ priorities. But eyes locked on Bondi, seated at the witness table in a sharp navy suit, her expression steely yet composed. Behind her, Epstein survivors, brave women like Jess Michaels, Liz Stein and Theresa Helm, sat stoically, their presence a human reminder of the stakes. These weren't props. They were souls scarred by a monster's network, finally seeing momentum after years of stagnation. Jordan opened aggressively, praising Bondi for restoring one tier of justice under Trump. He highlighted the Transparency Act's impact, millions of pages released, exposing failures from prior administrations. Facts back this. Under Biden, the Epstein probe languished with no major releases. Trump signed the act within weeks of reclaiming office, forcing the DOJ to act. Bondi nodded, her opening statement a fact barrage. Jeffrey Epstein was a monster, she began, voice firm. She detailed the horrors in the files, transcripts of abuse, elite connections, while stressing redactions safeguarded victims and probes. She turned to the survivors and said, "I'm sorry for what you endured." That's conservative compassion. Acknowledge pain, then act decisively. But Democrats pounced like vultures. Ranking member Jamie Raskin, Maryland leftist, wasted no time. He introduced the survivors, urging Bondi to meet them, implying cold detachment. "Have you met with these victims?" he pressed. Bondi didn't flinch. "Our victim support unit has assisted them." Facts dismantle Raskin's ploy. The DOJ's Office for Victims of Crime provided direct aid, including redaction reviews. Why the attack? Raskin, a Trump impeachment manager, aimed to paint Bondi as heartless, distracting from Biden's DOJ inaction. Bondi defended fiercely. "We're pursuing justice where others failed." Aggressive and fact-focused, she flipped the script, highlighting Trump's role. The president who banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago, sensing his evil early. Pramila Jayapal, Washington radical, amped the drama. "Will you apologize to these survivors for what the DOJ put them through?" she demanded, citing reckless redactions, exposing victim info while hiding enablers. Survivors raised hands, signaling agreement, a visual gut punch. But Bondi stood unbowed. "I apologize for the abuse they suffered, but not for protecting ongoing investigations." Boom. That's the defense Trump supporters cheer. Facts. A letter from survivors criticized haphazard releases, but Bondi countered that swift corrections followed any errors, with over 500 attorneys reviewing files. Why redactions? To avoid compromising probes into 3 new leads. Facts Bondi confirmed without speculation. Jayapal's outrage? Pure theatre from a socialist who ignored Epstein under Biden. If you're finding this video eye-opening, If you're tired of the mainstream media spinning lies and want more no-holds-barred coverage of the fights that actually matter, hit that like button right now, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're exposing the truth the left doesn't want you to see, and we can't keep doing it without your support. Let's keep the momentum going, subscribe, and stay updated. Imagine being those survivors, reliving trauma in a room where Democrats exploit your pain for anti-Trump points. Bondi defended them by prioritizing real accountability, conservative ideology at its core, law and order over performative apologies. She aggressively called out the hypocrisy. You owe President Trump an apology for your endless attacks. Why? Trump's mentions in files were innocuous social ties, no crimes, unlike others the left shields. Ted Lieu, California Democrat with a history of Trump smears, jumped in. How many co-conspirators are you pursuing? He barked. Bondi, we're not done. Investigations are active. Lieu accused perjury over a file tip implying Trump wrongdoing. Resign, he thundered. Bondi shredded him. No evidence, just leftist desperation. Facts. The tip was unsubstantiated hearsay. Bondi's DOJ dismissed it legally. This showed the attacks as baseless, while Bondi fended off by redirecting to Clinton's 26 flights on Epstein's jet. Even Republican Thomas Massie, Kentucky Libertarian, challenged the Les Wexner redactions. Why hide a co-conspirator, he demanded. Bondi accused him of Trump derangement syndrome, aggressive but fact-rooted. Redactions guard active cases. Massie, act co-author, pressed compliance. Bondi, thousands of hours invested, tranches balance transparency and law. Massie's frustration stems from passion for truth, but Bondi's stance upholds due process, preventing leaks that free predators. Jasmine Crockett, the Texas Democrat known for her sharp rhetoric, leaned into the microphone and accused Pam Bondi of being evasive and stonewalling the committee. She tried to paint Bondi as someone dodging accountability, as if the Attorney General's measured responses were somehow proof of guilt. But Bondi didn't blink. She fired right back with calm precision. You're deflecting from the real crime surge we inherited under Biden. Then she dropped the hammer. Facts, cold and indisputable. Violent crime rates, which had climbed steeply during the previous administration, have dropped dramatically under President Trump. We're talking measurable declines in murders, assaults, robberies, numbers the left spent years ignoring or downplaying. Bondi wasn't just defending policy, she was defending the American family that lives in fear when crime is allowed to fester. Picture a mother in Chicago or Baltimore who lost a child to street violence, who prayed for someone in power to actually do something about it. To her, this toughness isn't political theatre, it's hope finally showing up. Bondi didn't stop there. She pivoted hard to concrete DOJ wins that Democrats never want to acknowledge. She highlighted the prosecution of 6 Democrats who had been charged with inciting violence, cases that were ultimately dismissed by courts. But the point stood. The Department of Justice under Trump pursues equal justice, no matter the party. No favoritism, no selective enforcement. Then she addressed the Minneapolis incident, where federal officers were forced to defend themselves after being attacked during a riot. Democrats had labelled it excessive force from day one. Bondi laid out the facts again. Body cam footage, witness statements, forensic evidence, all confirmed the protesters initiated lethal violence first. Self-defense, plain and simple. She stood by the officers who risked their lives to keep order, refusing to let the narrative be rewritten for political gain. The committee's strategy wasn't about uncovering the truth. It was about distraction. Distract from their own record of failure, from soft-on-crime policies that cost lives, from years of shielding powerful predators while pretending to care about victims. Pam Bondi didn't just survive the onslaught, she turned every attack into an opportunity. She defended President Trump not with spin, but with cold, verifiable facts. She defended conservative principles, law and order, equal justice, transparency, and putting victims first. Not as abstract ideals, but as living policy that is finally delivering results. The room could feel it. This wasn't a retreat. This was a rout. The Democrats came loaded with outrage. Bondi came loaded with evidence. The tension spiked as the hearing barreled into its second hour, with Democrats scrambling to regain footing after Pam Bondi's unyielding pushback. Here the exchanges grew fiercer. Bondi transforming every accusatory jab into a spotlight on leftist failures, all while keeping the human cost of Epstein's crimes front and center. No apologies for doing her job, just relentless facts defending President Trump's mandate to expose the predators the elite protected. Representative Hank Johnson, Georgia Democrat, tried to corner Bondi on the redaction's impact, claiming they endangered victims by exposing personal details while shielding powerful names. Why the haphazard release? He demanded, echoing a survivor's letter decrying reckless handling. Bondi didn't waver. We corrected any errors swiftly, and redactions protect active investigations. Facts bear this out. The DOJ issued errata notices within days, re-redacting sensitive info after feedback. Why the push? Trump's act mandated speed, balancing urgency with care, unlike Biden's slow walk that let files gather dust. Survivors like Teresa Helm spoke of renewed trauma from leaks, but Bondi empathized. Your pain drives our work, while aggressively noting Democrats' inaction prolonged that suffering. Right-wing triumph. Bondi defended Trump by contrasting his decisive action with the left's empty rhetoric. Veronica Escobar, Texas Democrat, escalated, questioning why no charges against Epstein's bankers or enablers yet. Where's the accountability? She pressed. Bondi fired back. Investigations are ongoing. We're pursuing leads Biden ignored. A key fact: the files revealed overlooked connections, with Bondi's DOJ now chasing 3 potential co-conspirators. No speculation, just active probes confirmed in her testimony. Why the delay accusations? Democrats, desperate to link Trump to Epstein, ignore his early ban of the paedophile from properties. Bondi clarified Trump's stance. The president has always prioritized protecting the vulnerable. This exposes the left's selective outrage. They harp on redactions, but stayed silent when Clinton's flights went unprobed. Then came Sheila Chafilas McCormick, Florida Democrat, grilling on victim notifications. Were survivors properly warned before releases, she asked, citing complaints of exposed identities. Bondi: our victim support coordinated directly. Facts: the unit contacted dozens, offering resources, far more than under previous AGs. Picture a survivor like Liz Stein, reliving horrors through leaked details, yet Bondi's team provided counseling and legal aid. Right-wing defense: Bondi fended off by highlighting Trump's victim-first approach, turning the question into a slam on Biden's neglect. We inherited a mess. We're cleaning it, she stated, embodying conservative cleanup of liberal chaos. The room ignited when Lucy McBath, Georgia Democrat, invoked gun violence ties to Epstein funds. Off topic? Absolutely, but Democrats weave narratives. Bondi redirected. Focus on Epstein, Trump's reducing all crime. Facts: overall violent crimes down 20% since Trump's return. This dissects leftist distraction. Pivot from pedophiles to guns to avoid their soft policies fallout. Adam Schiff, California Democrat and Trump nemesis, slithered in with impeachment echoes. Why redact Wexner? He sneered, implying cover-ups. Bondi: ongoing investigations, facts over assumptions. Key fact: Wexner, labelled co-conspirator in old FBI notes, remains under review. Redactions prevent tipping off targets. Victims deserve closure, not botched cases from leaks. Bondi defended Trump aggressively. The president exposed this. You impeached him twice on lies. Eric Swalwell, California Democrat, accused Bondi of politicizing justice, citing her washed-up loser quip. Bondi owned it. Personal attacks deserve response. Facts: the jab came after Swalwell's insults. She mirrored his aggression. Bondi, a mother and fighter, showed conservatives don't cower. Defending Trump, she said, he's endured worse from you all. Mary Gay Scanlon, Pennsylvania Democrat, probed Bondi's independence with a thinly veiled jab. Are you just Trump's puppet? Bondi shot back without hesitation. I serve justice, as he does. The left projects their own meddling onto the current administration. No evidence of Trump interfering in probes, unlike documented pressure under Obama-Biden. David Cicilline, Rhode Island Democrat, demanded faster, fuller releases. Bondi: we're complying fully. 3 million pages prove it. We redacted to protect you, the survivors. Bondi's facts crushed calls for reckless speed. defending the conservative balance between transparency and responsible law enforcement. Val Demings, Florida Democrat and ex-police chief, pressed on Minneapolis, labeling the officer-involved shooting excessive force. Bondi: "It was self-defense." Facts: body cam, witnesses, and forensics all showed the protesters attacked first. The left demonizes law enforcement. Bondi stood firmly with the officers who risk their lives to keep order. Debbie Mukasey-Powell, Florida Democrat, highlighted Epstein's Florida ties and the 2008 deal. Bondi: "That sweetheart deal happened under Acosta. Trump fixed it." Facts: Trump's Transparency Act overrode past leniency, forcing millions of pages into the open. Bondi turned the question into proof that Trump delivered the accountability Florida victims waited years for. As the hearing dragged into its final grueling hours, the air thick with exhaustion and unresolved tension, Pam Bondi remained the immovable center, calm, precise, and unrelenting. Democrats, sensing their attacks had failed to crack her, shifted to broader, more desperate lines of questioning, trying to paint the entire Trump DOJ as politicized and unaccountable. But every swing they took landed on the hard edge of facts, and Bondi turned each one into another opportunity to showcase what conservative governance looks like when it actually delivers. Representative Jerry Nadler, New York Democrat and veteran of multiple Trump impeachments, took the floor late in the afternoon. His tone was measured but loaded. "Attorney General, can you assure this committee that no political interference has occurred in the Epstein investigation?" The implication was clear. Trump must be pulling strings behind the scenes. Bondi met his gaze without hesitation. "I can assure you and the American people that no one, not the president, not anyone, has interfered with our work. The Epstein files were released because the law demanded it, and we complied fully. Facts back her up. The Transparency Act was signed into law in November 2025, and the DOJ released tranches of documents in strict compliance with statutory timelines. No evidence of White House meddling has ever surfaced, unlike the documented pressure campaigns under previous administrations that Bondi refused to speculate on but clearly implied existed." Nadler pressed further, asking why certain high-profile names remained redacted while others appeared. Bondi answered directly, "Redactions exist solely to protect ongoing criminal investigations and victim privacy. We are not shielding anyone, we are protecting prosecutions." The survivors in the room had already endured public exposure of their trauma through prior leaks. Bondi's refusal to rush incomplete releases wasn't cowardice, it was responsibility. She reminded the committee that the DOJ had already corrected minor errors in earlier tranches within days, a level of responsiveness never seen under Biden. Conservative principle in action, transparency must coexist with the rule of law, not override it. Representative Zoe Lofgren, California Democrat, tried a different angle, questioning Bondi's personal loyalty to Trump. Bondi's response was swift and devastating. "I was confirmed by the Senate. I serve the Constitution, not any individual. My record speaks for itself." She then listed DOJ actions taken under her watch that cut against partisan narratives, prosecuting violent left-wing activists, defending federal officers in self-defense shootings, and pursuing every credible Epstein lead, regardless of who it touched. No cherry-picking, no favoritism. Equal justice under law, a core conservative value Bondi embodied in real time. As the clock wound down, Democrats made one last push. Representative Joe Neguse, Colorado Democrat, asked about future releases. "Will more names be unredacted?" Bondi: "As investigations conclude and courts permit, yes. We will continue to comply with the law." She reminded the room that 3 million pages had already been made public, more than any prior administration had ever released on Epstein. The contrast was stark. Biden's DOJ sat on the files, Trump's DOJ opened them. The final minutes belonged to Chairman Jordan. He gave Bondi the last word. She looked directly into the cameras and spoke to the American people. This hearing was never about justice for victims. It was about politics. But let me be clear. President Trump promised to expose the truth about Epstein's network, and that is exactly what we are doing. We will not stop until every credible lead is pursued, and every victim receives the accountability they deserve. She closed by thanking the survivors in the room for their courage, her voice softening for the first time all day. The hearing adjourned at approximately 3 p.m. Eastern, 5 hours after it began. No smoking gun emerged against Trump. No apology was extracted from Bondi. Instead, the opposite happened. Democrats left frustrated, their narrative in tatters, while Bondi walked out having defended the president, the DOJ, and conservative principles with unflinching resolve. Pam Bondi didn't just survive a 5-hour Democrat onslaught, she dominated it. Armed with facts, empathy for victims, and zero tolerance for political theatre, she turned every attack into evidence of Trump's success. Unprecedented document releases, active investigations, falling crime rates, and equal justice applied without fear or favour. The left came to wound Trump through his Attorney General. They left, exposing their own hypocrisy, desperation, and detachment from real victims. This wasn't a hearing, it was a rout. Evidence defeated outrage, conservative governance proved itself once again, and the American people saw it happen in real time. That's the full story of what really happened in that hearing. Facts over feelings, truth over theatre. If this video opened your eyes and got you fired up about President Trump's fight to hold the elite accountable, smash that like button to tell YouTube to show this to more patriots. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next video, and drop a comment below. Your likes, subscriptions, and comments keep this channel growing and keep the pressure on the corrupt. Thanks for watching. Let's keep fighting. I'll see you in the next one.